If you've been keeping up with Terra Luna Classic, you're probably wondering what the heck is going on with all this Terra Luna Classic drama happening right now. Today I'm going to try and break it down in a relatively easy way to understand, and then explain how we can move forward from all this nonsense. Okay, before we dive into this just silly drama, first we need to talk about the state of Terra Luna Classic, and then we'll dive into the crazy drama that's happening right now. So we can see right now with Terra Luna Classic up about 1.5% on the day right above me here. We can see price of Terra Luna Classic is down right now, definitely below that zero threshold that we've been trying to cross through. You guys can see on the Terra Luna Classic price charts, we've been trying to push through going past the past zero, which is right up here, which would be the level for us to drop a zero and move up, which is what a lot of people want to see for Terra Luna Classic, see a reversal in the downward trend. However, we have since fallen back below that. Right now, we're down about 10% from that point. So we need to go up a decent bit before we can drop that zero yet again, and hopefully be able to maintain that. Now, what is going on with this Terra Luna Classic drama? Let's just start diving right into the meat and potatoes of this. There have been some long Twitter posts put out by a couple different individuals within the Terra Luna Classic community. Now, basically, here's what's happening in very simple terms. If you guys remember, there was conversations about trying to get centralized exchanges to basically implement a different tax structure on the exchanges. Now, what we've been seeing happening is Redline Drifter has been trying to communicate with these different exchanges. Apparently, what happened is, from my understanding here, because this is all just so much he said, she said nonsense. The factual understanding, or my understanding of the facts, I should say, is that Rex, old Terra Rebels Rex, ended up putting these individuals, Redline Drifter, in contact with the different centralized exchanges to have these conversations about exchanges implementing a tax structure on their exchange. And basically what happened is through these conversations, apparently Redline Drifter asked to include Lunc Army into the information that was being disclosed. Apparently, Rex shared this conversation with Redline Drifter, as I mentioned, but then Redline asked if he could disclose this to Lunc Army and include him in the conversation, and that it would only be him. So basically, 3 people would know what this conversation actually said. Now, apparently, this conversation ended up being leaked, and so there was only 3 potential people. Terra Rebels Rex, or Rex from Terra Rebels, Redline Drifter, or Lunc Army. Now, apparently, what it seems like happened is that Lunc Army ended up leaking some of these conversations. Now, it's a little bit hard to tell what is going to be the implications of this conversation being leaked. Are the exchanges just going to totally shut down any future conversation, and this whole idea is just scrapped now because some of that conversation got leaked? Is it not going to be that big of a deal in a month's time? We don't really know how this is going to play out over the coming weeks/months. We'll have to wait and see what are the implications of this conversation being leaked. Maybe Lunc Army was simply excited about the information and wanted to share it. Not really sure what really went on here and why this happened, but hopefully we can get some more answers there, and hopefully there's not big implications. We continue to have conversations with these centralized exchanges talking about how they can implement this tax structure. Now, the other big piece of drama that happened is that Terraport funds are on the move yet again. Some of the Terraport funds ended up being on the move right after the Terraport attack, basically costing investors roughly around $2 million. Now, those funds have since initially went to some exchanges, and then Terra Rebels Rex, again, the same Rex that we just talked about, ended up getting some of those funds frozen by communicating with exchanges. Now, some of the funds never went to exchanges. They just sat into someone's wallet, and so they were not accessible by us. We couldn't take those funds back. They ended up sending those funds over to an exchange, and apparently that exchange was never notified, at least that's what it sounds like, of these funds being moved over there. And so what happened is that the funds go to an exchange, and then they go over to another network, in this case to the Binance Smart Chain. And those transactions can be seen right here. You can see all the different transactions. Now, you can't get these normally. Terra Rebels Rex was able to get these different transactions because the way that it works is the funds go into an exchange on one network and then they go out on another network. There's no way to know what happened because it essentially goes into a wallet on one network, and then the exchange allocates, okay, so you gave us $100 of Terra Luna Classic on the Terra Luna Classic network. Now our wallet that is on the Binance Smart Chain network, a totally different wallet, we're going to give you $100 from that wallet. So there's no direct connection point that can be tracked. The only way you can get this is by the exchange giving you this information. You guys can track these different transactions now that we have the information of the Binance Smart Chain network, and we can go ahead and see that basically roughly it looks like about $40,000 ended up getting sent over to MEXC, and then from MEXC into this attacker's wallet because MEXC was not really notified. At least that's what Terra Rebels Rex claims. Now, apparently, the Terraport team ended up responding to what happened. And they said, we've been accused of not monitoring funds. That is just fun. They do this constantly, share information with centralized exchanges. And then they basically try and put it onto the exchange, which I think is really dishonest. They end up basically saying that different exchanges handle freezing funds in different manners. And because this is not funds from one specific individual, it's really hard to freeze the funds. By the way, if you guys appreciate these honest videos, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss more of this content. This is mentioned right here. However, this just seems to simply not be true. If you guys remember, Terra Rebels Rex ended up getting a bunch of funds frozen within a couple hours of the attack happening by reaching out to his contacts. You guys could actually see this over here on this tweet right here. This was after the attack happened. Within a couple hours, you can see MEXC Global shut off deposits for Lunc for the time being. They entirely shut off all deposits of Lunc because of this attack. They didn't just lock down specific wallets. They shut off everything because Rex was able to reach out to them. He's in direct communication with different exchanges. Then he was going to provide updates. And he ended up getting other exchanges to actually freeze funds as well. And so this example, this is literally MEXC, the exact same exchange that these funds went through, that they're claiming, or that the Terraport team is claiming they could not get frozen through the exchange. Terra Rex actually did it initially just by reaching out to them saying, hey, there's an attack, here's the information, here's the funds, can you freeze them? And now, in theory, the Terraport team has police reports and a bunch more evidence that there's actually this attack, and so it should be easier for them, in theory, to actually get these funds frozen, and they didn't do that. So it's really difficult to say what's happening here, but they're just straight up lying to the community, saying, or I should say deceiving the community, maybe not directly lying, but deceiving the community, trying to say, oh, we couldn't have done anything about these thousands of dollars that got moved, when in reality, we have hard evidence that Terra Rebels Rex was able to get funds frozen on MEXC and actually get MEXC to shut down all deposits to try and avoid funds going through MEXC when the attack first happened. And so the fact that the Terraport team wasn't able to get the funds stopped through MEXC seems very strange, to say the least, that MEXC wouldn't freeze a specific wallet, or that they couldn't even get MEXC in communication to deal with this issue. And this comes on the back of the Terraport team announcing that they're going to be relaunching Terraport. So please, guys, be very, very careful getting involved in Terraport. I sure as hell am not touching a single thing that comes from this Terraport team. I believe these guys are straight up scumbags, which is why I made this video the other day. This was obviously a meme video, basically taking the Ty Lopez here in my garage and putting Rexy's over it, showing off his Lambo, because basically he's made it very clear. Rexy's has done multiple interviews, made it very, very clear that he is not going to refund the Terraport investors. Your money is not going back to you from the team. What their plan is, from my understanding, is to relaunch the platform, and then hopefully through that somehow they'd be able to make investors whole who lost millions of dollars. But it seems like they're not even willing to try and track the money and where the money's going, constantly track this information to get exchanges to lock it down. So it's really unfortunate that the team's not even taking these different steps to protect the money that is lost and try and recover those funds, because from my understanding, all the money that's locked on exchanges, they still don't have access to that money. And so overall, just a lot of really silly drama going on in the Terra Luna Classic community. One thing I do also want to bring attention to, a third thing here, is that Happy Catty Crypto is going to be taking a break for a while. I don't want anybody to attack him. I actually want you guys, go ahead, go to this Twitter post and show some support for Happy Catty Crypto. I believe Happy Catty Crypto is one of the few people who are genuinely trying to push Terra Luna Classic forward to a better future. So guys, go ahead, show some love, show some support to Happy Catty Crypto. Let him know that, hey, you hope he does well while he's taking this break, and that you hope that he comes back very soon. Again, you might disagree with the way he does certain things. I know I've had disagreements with him before, but I do think, again, genuinely, that this is one of the few individuals out there, very, very few people, that is actually trying to help the Terra Luna Classic community. And that's something that we have to really support, because there are so few of them. We see people like Terra Rebels. We see this Terraport team out here basically losing millions of dollars of people's money and failing to do basic actions. We're seeing conversations being leaked. There's just so many things happening in the Terra Luna Classic community that is just so silly, and some potentially bad actors, whereas Happy Catty Crypto, I believe, deserves some support. Again, even if you disagree with some of the things he says, I think he's trying to do good by the Terra Luna Classic community, and we should support that. If you guys want to know how we can move Terra Luna Classic forward in an efficient manner, check out this video up here, and I'll catch you on the next one.